Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Again, I'm just your average race fan, and today we're going to be talking about racing terms. So, these are the things that you're going to hear around the track. Maybe you might hear announcers talking about them, and maybe you might even hear them in your group of friends. Maybe that's what got you interested in racing. Well, gone are the days when you're sitting there, I don't know what I don't know what's going on. So, because we're going to fix that issue right now. So let's talk these things out so we can better your experience. So first we're going to go over the layout of the track. Now you're going to have to forgive my rudimentary drawing here. That's why I'm doing this and I'm not an artist somewhere. So let's break this down. So most people, when they look at a dirt track, it is literally two long straightaways and two sweeping corners. I get that. That's exactly what it looks like. So why the heck are there turns 1 through 4? Well, each turn is actually two separate corners. So we're going to talk about this. We won't go in depth because my handy chart will explain it all if you can see it. So turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you're looking at the stands, or if you're in the stands, here's the flagman. Turn 1 is going to be the very first corner after the start-finish line. And it's going to go all the way up through the apex of the corner, which is up here. The apex is the highest point in the corner, and it's going to split the two sweeping sides of the track. Okay? So you're going to have turn 1, then it goes into turn 2 after the apex. So the entrance to the apex is turn 1. From the center of the corner to the exit is turn 2. And it's the same with 3 and 4. You know, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so there you have it. Circle tracks, or oval tracks as we like to call them. Some are even D-shaped. There's a lot of racetracks that have their own personality. And that's what's cool about it. Alright, so now that we've discussed the corners, you have the front stretch, which is the closest to the stands, and then you have the back stretch, which is on the back opposite. Okay, so front stretch and back stretch. Those are the two straightaways. So obviously, again, front stretch and back stretch. Let's talk banking. The term banking, or how much bank does it have? That's not how much money the track has. It's how much angle the corners are in degrees. So you'll notice on the big asphalt tracks, if you've ever watched the Daytona 500 or a race at Talladega, the track is like that. I mean, the cars are just almost look like they're sideways going around these corners. That's what makes them be able to go around the corners so fast, and that's called banking. There's a degree of banking, and every track has it. Some have barely any, and some have, really steep banking, depending on the track that you're at. So most dirt tracks will have, anywhere from a little. If they're like a big half mile, they won't have very much. Some of your big, what they call bull rings, like I-55 Speedway or Huset Speedway, those have a decent amount of banking. So that's what they're talking about, the angle from the inside of the corner to the outside of the corner. How much banking is it? Which just brings us to another side, or another thing we're going to discuss, is the high side and low side. Obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. So if somebody passes on the high side, it's the high side of the track. Obviously, like we were talking about with the banking, the outside of the track is going to be higher than the inside of the track, which is the low side. So you've got high side and low side. As far as the track goes, let's go ahead and go over that one more time, just in case I have some very, very brand new people. because that's what this channel is kind of geared for. We want to open up all this knowledge to everybody and get everybody into the racing community. So you have the front stretch, the back stretch, turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. You have the apex, which is the top of the corner, and then high side and low side, which deals with your banking, which is the angle of the corners. Low side is on the inside, outside is the high side. All right, so let's talk some terms that you might hear throughout the night, and we'll see if we can go in and explain them. And that way, when next time you go to the racetrack, or if it's your first time, you'll already darn near be an expert. All right, let's check this out. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and we'll go in order on, you know, you may hear these throughout the night, you know. Starting with tacky. Tacky. So when they do track prep on a dirt track, they want to have enough moisture in it to where the cars can grip it. It'll almost be like a Play-Doh. You know, you want to be able to knead it in your hands, and this will allow the soft compounds of the dirt cars to be able to grab it, grip it, and throw them around the corners or back into the straightaways. Okay? But you don't want too much moisture because you don't want a soupy mess. We are dealing with dirt here, so the track preppers have to find that fine balance. All right, and that fine balance is what we call tacky. So you'll hear that term a lot throughout the beginning of the night and probably on into maybe intermission, that the track is nice and tacky or it's staying tacky. And that's a good thing. Okay, so let's talk about the track taking rubber. So throughout the night, even though the track is dirt, I get this question a lot. People are like, well, if it's dirt, I don't see how it can, you know, take rubber. You know, I don't see how they can lay it down. Well, you got to remember that even though the track is dirt, the tires are rubber and they're drifting through the corners. So that drifting process and that downforce that a lot of these cars have on them, along with their suspension, this still creates friction and it still creates heat. And that friction and heat will start to take rubber from the tires on the car and it will pull it onto the track. So the track will do what they call taking rubber, you know, or the cars will start laying rubber. Okay? So you will start to see, mainly if you're sitting in the stand, you'll see it on turn 1. You'll start to see entering turn 1. Now I have a diagram on turn 4, 3 and 4 here, but it'll look like this. There'll be some black marks, you know, and I'll put some examples up on the screen right now so you can see it as I'm talking about this. So there'll be some black marks coming into the corners. Now every track takes a little bit of rubber. It just depends on what the moisture content is, how the track was prepped, how many cars there are that night. So the same track can take a different amount of rubber on different weekends. I mean, it might take a little on this night and it might take a whole lot the next weekend. It just depends. Almost all tracks take a little bit of rubber. It's just something that happens. Like I said, that heat, that friction, it's just physics and science. So if it takes enough rubber, it's gonna get what's called slick. Or, you know, some people say, oh, the track is slicked off. So if you're in the stands and you hear people talking about the track slicking off or getting real slick, this is what they're talking about. It takes enough rubber, and as the night goes down, the downforce on the cars pack this dirt in really good. And it's not rock hard, but it is hard. I mean, the track surface is pretty hard after a good night of racing. So what this does is there's no longer that tacky dirt. It's all this hard dirt that's been compacted with a little bit of rubber laying on it. All right, so let's talk about cushion. It's not just for the pushing. Okay, so cushion is the buildup of loose dirt that gets thrown up around the outside of the corner by all the race cars. And it will happen no matter what, because these race cars that go around the corners are drifting, they're on the accelerator, their tires are spinning, and they are throwing dirt. There's a fine balance, and it's normally right on the edge of the cushion as they're going around. They want to place that right rear tire right on the edge there so they can keep that speed up. Hey everybody, so this is the cushion, and it's actually not bad today. It almost got pushed all the way up to the apex. And the apex is the very top of the corner up here. So when their racing surface gets slick, like that right there, the drivers would want to kind of get as close to this cushion as possible, because there's still tacky grip on this cushion, but you got to be careful because you don't want to get into the loose stuff like this, because then you can lose traction and you can lose speed and momentum. So it's a very, very fine balance. Another thing that you might hear is the car is loose. All right, so basically when a car is loose, it's when they turn the wheel, it's wanting to oversteer. It's wanting to do too much. The rear end is wanting to just go out and do its own thing. So the cars, you're constantly having to correct it, and it's almost like you're driving on ice. So if the car is tight, it's doing the exact opposite. You're trying to muscle it through the corner, but it's really not wanting to corner it. It's just wanting to kind of, as you go through the corner, it's going to get higher and higher in the racetrack, and it's not going to want to turn unless you get off the gas and kind of lose some momentum. So it kind of pushes. And as a driver, they have ways of mitigating these, both of those, you know, with suspensions and plays on, or setups on downforce and stuff like that. So, but if you hear people talking, oh, that car looks a little tight, you know, or they look a little tight going in the corner or whatever, that's what they're talking about, okay? So now you have a basic understanding of the track layout, the terms you're going to hear when it comes to people referring to the track, what's going to go on throughout the night as far as tacky, taking rubber, slicking off, cushion, and then terms, a few terms that apply to the cars as far as, you know, being loose and tight. Okay, so I think a couple other terms that you might hear at the track. One will be, you know, checking up. Oh, that they look like they checked up in the corner. And checking up is when somebody gets off the gas. They either get off the gas or maybe tap the brake a little bit too hard. They check up, you know. So, and a lot of times what happen if you've got a really close battle is the person behind them might tap them because of that. Okay, dropping the hammer's another one. Almost everybody knows what that is. So that's obviously you're just going to slam the pedal to the metal of the floorboard, and you're going to go. So dropping the hammer is just going all out. And then a lot of times you'll hear the announcers or maybe other people say that that car's on rails. And it's exactly what it sounds like. The car is not tight, it's not loose. It's exactly how the driver wants it for that track condition, and it is literally going through the corner like it is on a rail. I hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for coming by the channel. If you did like the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you think you might know somebody that might get something else out of it as well, go ahead and share it. Don't forget to subscribe. And hey, most importantly, go get yourself an experience.